Hello and welcome everybody. This is Arundhati Timer from Essentially Sports. Today, I'm honored to welcome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, grappling and submission specialist, and the newest marquee signing in the ever-growing roster of One Championship, Danielle Kelly. Hi, Danielle, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, just gonna train soon.
Right. Let's get this. Let's get straight into it. You recently coming off your major debut with One Championship, one of the biggest combat sports organizations out there. How was the whole build-up, to the fight like for you? Because there were a lot of eyes on you. There was a lot of hype about you going into the fight. So how did you deal with the pressure, and how was it, going into that fight and the event?
Leading up to it, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Usually for matches, I would get really nervous, but for this one, I was super excited to compete under One Championship and their stage, and so I didn't really get bothered by the pressure. I think more so once I was walking towards the stage, I started to feel a little bit nervous, and the nerves and the pressure, but um just everything. I was just happy to be there. So I feel like as the match went on, I felt like home, and I
Right.
feel like the next match coming up, I feel like it'll be much more better for me.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the experience out there obviously helps out. Again, it was the 10th anniversary of One Championship of the promotion itself, and it was obviously one of the biggest cards out there. I mean, your match was right at the first half, and then it went on for hours before it ended up. So, how did it feel to be part of such a big event on such a huge scale?
It still feels unreal. It was such a big event, and to be a part of such a big historic event with like a lot of big names and talented fighters on the card, it felt like I accomplished one of my goals. And the fact that we were one of the first two matches for women to be competing under One Championship, um put a lot in perspective and where like my career would go. So it was definitely a positive thing, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
And if I'm not wrong, this was your first visit to Singapore itself. And I mean, how was your experience in the country? And I'm guessing you didn't have much time to get around, but I'm sure you had a little time after your fight, maybe, and you got to see a little of the country itself.
It was my first time in Singapore. It was definitely like the first time taking like 19-hour flight
Right.
to there.
Right.
But it was all well. It wasn't I have no complaints about it. It was comfortable. Once we got there, we couldn't really do much because we had to stay at the hotel for COVID protocols. But afterwards, I probably had like a few hours to explore a little bit of Singapore. But when we had to leave the next morning. So after that, I kind of just stayed to watch the fights because I didn't want to miss a lot of those talented fighters. There was a lot of good fights, and it's very entertaining. So I definitely
Right.
didn't want to miss that. But
Absolutely.
overall, the experience being in Singapore was great.
Right. And I mean, the again, you mentioned the 19-hour flight. So how was the jet, if there was any, how was the experience going traveling for so long, and then going back to the United States after taking such a long flight? And are you over, and how did you recover from that much travel?
On the way there, say while flying, it wasn't bad at all. But once we landed and once we got everything settled, because we landed there probably like 7 or 7 a.m. And I remember taking a nap right away because I felt so exhausted. I would say like the first day or two were kind of hard because I felt a little tired going to practice or going to training for the warm-ups before.
Right.
Um so I felt a little exhausted, but as the first day and a half went by, I felt like it didn't really get to me. I think it was when I got home it started to like kind of get to me because my appetite was kind of off. I wasn't eating. I had to adjust the time. We had to go basically we left Sunday and we came back home on Sunday. So we
So,
basically went back in time. So that was an adjustment, but they're both easy, like and the match after the match it was great. So it ended up being easy and smooth. Yeah, I mean, I had no complaints about it.
Right. And are you back in training, or are you still taking it a little light?
I Once I got back home the next day, I went back to training. There's no breaks.
No breaks at all.
Nope,
So,
no breaks.
so I mean, going back to the fight itself, it was a 1 round, 12-minute fight, and from it, like right from the bat, you were on the offensive. You were looking for submissions. You went in for knee bars and heel hooks and everything. So, I mean, but unfortunately, it ended in a draw. So, how did you feel during the fight? Being such a big stage, and what were your thoughts? Right afterwards, once the fight was done.
I have no regrets. I don't feel any bad negative thoughts on my match because I was pushing the pace the whole time, and speaks for itself as I got like the performance bonus. I was pushing it on her. I was trying to engage with her. Had some really tight submissions, and she didn't want to tap. But at the end, that just makes me want to work harder. I was back at the gym once I got home, and whoever's next in line, I'm just gonna just do my thing and not worry about what they're gonna do or try to prove like what I can do in my game. Because I felt like the first 3 or 4 minutes I was kind of wasting time with the wrestling because I wanted to take her down because I didn't think she had like really good ground game. So this next time I'm just gonna stick to what I'm really good at and work on that next time.
Absolutely. And was there anything about her game that surprised you at all? Because she was a lot on the defensive. So was there anything that surprised you at all?
I was very It was definitely surprising to me. I mean, I think I'm fairly strong, but with her, I felt like, there was a transition where I had her in a leg lace and I had to move my knee out
Right.
to transition for like a heel hook or roll for a knee bar. And she held her arm right under my hip, and the strength of her arm just held my hip the whole time, and I couldn't extend my hips or get my knee out. So that was really surprising. I was like, okay, this girl definitely lifts a lot. I mean, I kind of knew what she was going to do, and my goal was to try to finish the match before time went off.
Right. And, you just talked about the 50,000 bonus, and we saw your reaction immediately after it was announced. So what was your immediate, what was the thought process after, right after it was announced, because it ended in a draw, but you definitely had an impressive performance. So what was your thought process after that?
It was very emotional. I very hard on myself all the time, whether I win the match, lose, or draw, especially for this one to draw. And I felt like in a way, I was like asking myself, did I really deserve this? And then I would say to myself, I did work hard for this. I was pushing the pace. Others see my hard work. I'm being acknowledged for it. I would say it was an emotional roller coaster at those few minutes when it was announced, but then it all started to kick in. And then once I started watching my match and everything, I felt like I deserved it, and being I'm being seen for my hard work, and it motivates me to work harder and do better the next one.
Right. I mean, you certainly deserved it. I'm sure I'm speaking for the whole martial arts community that, I mean, you were amazing in the cage that day. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And
It means a lot.
And talking about combat sports in general, you've talked about making a switch to MMA as well, and in that process you have changed your gyms as well. You switched to Evolve MMA, and how has that process been? Because Evolve MMA has some of the greatest strikers or like most devastating strikers in their gym. So how has that process been, and how are you settling in that environment?
So I train here, and eventually when I'm in Singapore again, I'm gonna train with Evolve. Especially like if I'm getting ready for my first MMA fight. I train with a lot of talented girl fighters, and I have been working on my striking and MMA stuff for before the pandemic, so almost 3 years actually. Which time is flying by really fast. I feel like there'll be time. I feel like when the time comes, I'll be prepared, but I want to make sure that I understand fully about the game because jiu-jitsu and MMA are so different. You can't just pull guard and then you'll get punched in the face.
100%.
but there's ways to go around that if you don't have tunnel vision on certain moves and you work around it, study your opponent. It's all you can work around it. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's a huge adjustment, but getting used to getting punched in the face, like I just got started to get used to that. So it's all starting to come to me. And I think the more I compete jiu-jitsu wise for one championship, the more comfortable I'm getting. And I try to do some cage work around with May and inside the circle. So I felt comfortable, once the time went by. I'm just really excited when that point comes.
That it would be amazing to see you, in MMA, and but when do you have any time frame, or that when you decide to eventually make a shift to MMA? I mean, not completely leaving the submission and the BJJ, but as well, but also transitioning to MMA. Is there any time frame in your head as of now?
I wouldn't say timeline, but I would want all my coaches to be with me. So, because it's gonna be my first MMA fight, so the main ones who are with me, I would love them to be there. But I also want to get a lot of sparring in, especially like if when I go to Evolve, I would like to roll with a lot of people there. I just need to get my feet a little wet before I make that decision. But I feel it's coming soon because I'm pretty confident and I have a lot of hardworking teammates who push me every day.
That's great. And talking about your future opponents, I mean, you put up a story yesterday, and there has been a back and forth between you and the one strawweight champion, Angela Lee. So I mean, you've talked about her as a future submission opponent. Even she has talked about as a possible matchup. So I mean, what do you think about that fight in general? Because it definitely will get the fans excited. So what are your thoughts on it? And yeah.
My thoughts, I'm happy that she's open to the idea because she's I respect her a lot, and I was rooting for her her recent match against Stamp. She just had a kid. She's a mom, and she's a mom champ. So I respect a lot. I have a lot of respect for her, and she's putting a name for all the hardworking moms out there. So it's really. I really have nothing bad to say or anything. It would be an honor to share the cage with her, and it'll also be an opportunity to spread women's jiu-jitsu in a whole global aspect. So, I hope it happens. She's, I think she would be more engaging than May, and she's beaten May. So, I think this will be a really fun match, and it will be very entertaining, and that's what the fans would want to see. I'm totally down.
Yeah, fans would
championship.
It is definitely a fight I would be rooting for, because she has a jiu-jitsu background, you have a jiu-jitsu background. It'll be a fantastic fight to see. But before and also let's talking about your grappling game. Before signing with one championship, you fought the former UFC strawweight champion Carla Esparza in a submission match. But unfortunately, the fight ended prematurely because she had a huge cut right above her eye. So would you be interested in a rematch ever, given the opportunity in the future?
Yeah, I would love a rematch because, well, first of all, I was frustrating her and she slammed me, and she basically did the slam herself and the cut. So that was on her. But, I still wished her a fast recovery and everything. I'm definitely down for a rematch, but it would have to be at 115. I'm not risking my health. I'm not risking, the weight advantage was totally, I was like 113 I weighed in at, and she was cutting to 130 because that was the weight limit of the match. And it was like a 2 or 3 day notice because Rose Namajunas had COVID or something. I forget. It was like during that week before the match. So
COVID protocols.
Yes. So, I feel like a lot of people are saying she was beating me or I was beating her, but you can't, I pulled guard and she basically kept me there. So I think just from that match, it motivated me more. So I wouldn't mind a rematch for sure, but it would have to be at 115.
115, of course. And, talking about your one championship, do you have, I'm sure you're planning to come back soon, getting back into the cage soon. So you have any idea or a future opponent in mind against whom you want to, want to get back in again?
Uh, I'm hopefully in the summer. Definitely hoping to have a match in the summer. Probably before August, hopefully, because I want to take August off to travel, teach, and have like a week vacation because I've
Right.
been training every day. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm waiting for a word on Angela Lee, so we'll see if that happens. But I'm not backing down away from anybody.
Right. And one of the biggest news in the past couple of days in combat sports world has been Joe Rogan and him being a sponsor in ADCC. What are your thoughts on that? Because he's talked about it publicly, and him coming in that tournament in those championships will bring in a lot of eyeballs. So, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think about also competing and winning ADCC in the future?
Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan, yeah.
Okay.
You also,
you're asking me. Sorry, you're asking me like, what do I think about the sponsorship?
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Oh yes. Wait, he's coming to one championship?
No. So he's put in money in ADCC.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think about that, again, it's definitely motivating. It's the fact that someone's such a big name in jiu-jitsu, grappling in general is mainstream, but it's not as big as like other like boxing or
Right.
MMA fighting. But it's very motivating that someone such a big name and like such, has a lot of credentials, and they're sponsoring the number one grappler in the world. It's showing that jiu-jitsu is taking the right term as well for sponsorships in the future. So that's like what I'm trying to do. That's motivating, and I hope to be in that position hopefully very, very soon. Especially just putting the foot in the door for women's sports, especially for sponsors. So I would love to be the first to do that, be the first name, hopefully.
Right. And what do you feel about, women in combat sports, in today's time? Because there are a lot of huge names out there right now. Like Kayla Harrison is there, Amanda Nunes is there, Angela Lee, you yourself are there, are there. So what are your thoughts in general about women in combat sports, and how do you think that is, the popularity is going towards?
Over the years, so when I started training, like Gina Carano was around. I would say like she definitely got me hooked on like the women's MMA fighting. And then Ronda Rousey came, and as a fighter, she was great, just not really the right person to people have their opinions, the role model, but
Right.
a phenomenal fighter at her time. I feel like women's combat sports is evolving every day, because you have Valentina, Joanna, Zhang, Rose Namajunas, all these women, they're so good and technical. Even most of the fights are better than the guys, like more entertaining. I feel like in the future, I feel like women's sports might just be, if not already, but might just be the same viewership as the men's. I feel like women's combat sports, like it's such a fast growing sport in general, but the women in MMA is growing so rapidly, and I can definitely see a lot of good opportunities for women in the sport. So that's very motivating and very inspiring to see.
That would be inspiring to see, them at the same viewership as the men competitors. And talking about your journey, how did you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? How did your journey start? And what changes have you seen in yourself over all of these years? Because you're still young, you still have a lot of time to go, you still have a lot of time to grow. But till now, what has your journey been like?
So long story short, so I started when I was getting bullied a lot in school, and I needed to have some kind of self-defense to protect myself from bullies. So my dad was sick at the time, and back then we had like the Google Maps where you print them out, and there was a place that was literally like 2 or 3 blocks ahead from my house at the time. So we went there. My mom took me there, and I learned what jiu-jitsu was, because if someone takes you down or you get knocked down, you learn how to protect yourself on the ground.
Right.
So that getting bullied a lot has brought me into martial arts in my life. And over time, I felt like I didn't have confidence. And as the time went on, I started to compete a lot, training with different people, meeting people, just everything and everywhere in sport. I felt more confident over time, and I felt like that helped me with my discipline, helped me mentally, especially like real world problems too. Like I felt like it put my head in the right direction. You know, it made me want to work hard for what I wanted and stay focused. You know, I mean, I had a time in a year, like I kind of like took a break from it, and I was in college, and you know, I felt like without martial arts in my life, I took a negative turn almost. So once I went back, you know, I realized martial arts is what I need in my life, and that's what
Right.
keeps me on my feet. And yeah, I would say it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I met some great people in my life and great things have happened. And so I'm just, you know, looking forward to see what my future looks like with it.
That's a great journey till now. And, you've just talking about how jiu-jitsu and combat sports in general has been like one of the major parts of your life. But, when you're not, since you're a fighter, when you're not, you have to train and fight like every second, third, fourth month, and you're constantly in training. But when you're not training and when you have your time off, what activities other than fighting do you like to do and like to engage in?
Like training wise?
No, not training wise, except from fighting, except from training.
Oh,
Other
and just
other
anything I like to
hobbies,
do.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, I like to play on my PC. I'm a very big PC gaming nerd. Because you know, when I play with my friends, I don't like to talk about fighting or training. It's just my time where I just goof off with my friends. Anyone that watches my Twitch would understand. But I like playing on my PC a lot. I'm actually trying to get a new one and just build on that, because I really like building my PC over
Right.
time. Keeps me busy. You know, I mean, I would say I used to like going out, but I feel like I'm kind of growing out of that stage, even though I'm still super young and I should be doing that. But you know, I enjoy doing what I do, and you know, if I have any time where I can relax and just not do anything, you know, I would do that in a heartbeat. But you know, I think like once I take a break from just training a lot every day, I would say like August would be like my time frame. I'm gonna be going to Europe my first time and just travel. Like that's gonna be my traveling. Still visiting jiu-jitsu schools to train and teach. So
Right.
yeah, I just have to do that if I'm going somewhere. But yeah, I mean that's basically like what I do. Yeah, I
I
mean
mean,
I'm a simple person, I guess.
no, you talked about gaming. I'm a huge gaming nerd myself. I mean, the PC and PlayStation, all of that. But what if talking about gaming? I know you're a huge Call of Duty fan. I mean, not and the initial games, Modern Warfare and Black Ops and all that. But in today's time, if there are any games, if you could just tell us your top three of games of all time. I know it's a very tough position to be in, but yeah, just the top three.
My top games. Wow. Not in order, but I mean, I still play Call of Duty, Warzone, the Modern Warfare one, even though they changed like so much on it. I started like Valorant. Um, Resident Evil would probably be like my all-time fave, like on the PlayStation, and
Right.
because I play on my PC now. I
Huge,
still have
huge
to play
fan.
the new ones. Yeah, I haven't played the new ones yet. Um, and I like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. There's like some old school games I like to play. Uh, this is really hard. I definitely want to try to get back into Half-Life. I played that when I was a kid with my brothers.
Right.
So that might be my top five. But I mean, there's definitely more that, or Halo. I'm sorry, Halo probably
Halo.
definitely be in top one. The
Right.
original Halo, yeah.
You're not a fan
Um,
of the new ones, the new one.
I mean, I try to play on my PC, but since I played on it so much on my Xbox. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I had to get my easy pass.
Right.
What was I playing? What was I saying at?
Halo and the classic
Halo,
heroes, and
yes. I was playing 1, 2, and 3, and 5, and then those were like my favorite ones. The fourth one kind of like went downhill, and the recent one was like, I don't know, but it just feels better when I play it on Xbox.
right. It makes absolute
Sorry, but I had
sense.
to give my easy pass to my aunt.
That's
I was like, I'm on the
absolutely all right.
phone and the interview thing.
That's absolutely all right. But talking about gaming, have you ever given a thought to streaming seriously and making that a side career as well? Because I mean, a lot of fighters are doing it like seriously. So have you also given a thought to it?
I actually do. I have done a lot of the Twitch streaming. Like I did one like 2 nights ago. But
Right.
since I was so focused on this match and just training every day, I haven't really had time to engage with it or be on my PC so much because I'm always like on the go. Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to get back into it, but only when I can because it's very time consuming. So,
Absolutely.
I might play like once or twice on the weekends, and then I'll play like once a week during the week. But it really just depends on my training schedule.
Right. And probably the last question out there, if that you have a huge fan following right now, and a lot of people now, you're in that premium organization, a lot more eyeballs, a lot more people will get to see you fight. So do you have anything to tell your fans or people watching this video or anybody out there? Do you have any message for them or anything you would like them to know?
I would like to tell them that I love you all for following me, supporting me, whether it's troll comments or very nice comments. I'm grateful for you all, and I hope you guys enjoy the journey.
Right. Thank you, Danielle. It was
Troll
a pleasure.
inside me didn't want to come out, but yeah, I'm very grateful for everybody that's following me and watching me and hoping that I fail.
No, I'm sure all of them are looking forward to all of your fights in the future. But thank you, Daniel. It was great talking to you, and I hope to get more interviews with you. It's fun talking to you, and I hope we can do this again soon.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Have a good day.